Hello, everyone. So today I'm going to be comparing 86 box and PCem. 86 box and PCem are what are called PC emulators. So what they do is they basically emulate hardware from old x86 PCs all the way back to the 386 days, right? 86 box has computers that go back to the 70s. I presume PCem also has the such. And basically what these software do is they basically emulate these machines using your hardware. So basically Windows would be reading those machines as if they are what you're emulating. So for example, if you're using like a socket 7 motherboard, your emulator would emulate a socket 7 motherboard. On the other hand, virtual machines use a process called virtualization. And virtualization, if I really want to summarize it, is basically the process of splitting your machine into smaller machines in order to run different systems. This is why if you try to attempt to run, Windows 9X systems on virtual machines such as VMware and VMware Player and VirtualBox, what would happen is that you would get a very blazingly fast installation because the virtual machine would be interfacing with your real hardware, albeit a very minuscule section of your hardware, basically. And in order to use virtualization, you need to have a CPU that is compatible with virtualization. And the way to do that is to go into your BIOS. And when you go into your BIOS, you enable CPU virtualization. This is usually very easy with systems that use the Intel Core series. Everything after the Intel Core series, like the i5, the i3, the i7, everything after that, just, basically good to go when it comes to virtualization. And virtualization is more useful when you want to, for example, let's say you have a Linux system and you want to run Windows programs without necessarily having a copy of Windows installed on your main hard drive. You would use a virtual machine for whatever reasons you wish. You want to use Linux, you have the security of Linux, but you also want to have the ability to use programs. Munahar from Some Ordinary Gamers uses virtual machines on his Linux system, but he does something called a GPU pass-through. I personally do not know how to do a GPU pass-through myself. I could learn it. There's definitely a video by Eric Parker that talks about this exact thing. You can look those up. But for the most part, we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is that we're going to do emulators. We're going to use our computer's hardware to emulate time-accurate hardware for what would have been used with a Windows 98 system. And for both 86 box and PCem, we're going to be using the best possible computer that could run Windows 98 while also being mindful of our, system's hardware. The hardware that I'm running, for transparency's sake, is an i7 2600 with GeForce GTX 1050 Ti with 12 gigabytes of DDR3 memory. So this is the system that we are running, right? This is the system that I am running, and better systems better processors and better GPUs are going to have better results. But this is what I am working with. And it should be enough to run Windows 98, run a Windows 98 machine, emulate a Windows 98 machine. However, the one big problem that you're going to see in this video is that both 86box and PCem seem to struggle with sound emulation. And you're going to see this very clearly in our demonstrations. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video. So we're going to start with 86box, right? We're going to start with 86box. We have this Windows 98 SE image. I'm just going to open 86box. I'm deleting this image because, I want to start over from scratch. For the sake of this video, we're opening 86box. It'll be fine. Okay, before we do anything, I need to check the settings. Right? Okay. So what we have here is a socket 7 dual voltage socket hot 557. Now you could use whatever socket you want, but it needs to be something that would be compatible with the new Windows 98 system. So I'm going to look for something that is closer to 1998. Another motherboard that's often recommended is the usage of the TDK-wav 503 Plus, right? The TDK-wav 503 Plus. This is the highest motherboard that you can use. Let's see how much. I'm going to see how much memory I can squeeze out of this. Of course, we're not going to be using a full-on gigabyte of RAM. I think that's a little overkill for a Windows 98 system. So we're going to use 256 megabytes of RAM. FPU. No, I don't think we need an FPU. Should we try these? I don't know what these... I really need to read the documentation to know what these settings do. So I'm not going to get too far into this. Right. Render threads. This is 3DFX Voodoo 3. I think a 3DFX Voodoo 3, as far as I was able to glean, was a little bit of a beast, may I say. So we're going to use something a little more good. We're going to use a PCI S3 Verge, which is what was recommended by a lot of people. And I'm going to use the PCI Verge, S3 Verge. I'm going to use let's use the Diamond Stealth 2000. For our input mouse, we're going to use a standard PS2 mouse. We're going to use a Sound Blaster 16 because you don't need to download extra sound drivers in order to run a Sound Blaster 16. So that's what we're going to use. We're going to use a Sound Blaster 16. This is compatible with both DOS and Windows 9X. We don't need a network card. LPT1 device. I guess these are like, sound stuff, related stuff. I don't think that's necessary. We're going to use something called an PCI IDE controller. We're going to use for the floppy disk, doesn't matter. We're going to use an internal controller. I don't think that's relevant. For the HDD controller, we're going to use an IDE controller that is dual channel. Let's give our stuff a little fighting chance. We're going to be using a SCSI CD-ROM. We're going to use a SCSI CD-ROM, which is what was most commonly used in that era. and we're going to create a new hard disk. Now, as I've noticed while doing this test in previous renditions of the test, what I've noticed is that when you use a dynamic hard disk, it's usually a bad idea. So for the sake of the hard disk, we're going to use channel 00. Fine. We're going to use let's use 2 gigabytes of space. Let's use 2 gigabytes of space. Or actually, let's use 4 gigabytes of space. Or actually, you know what? Let's use 1 gigabyte of space. We're going to use, let's see. I'm going to use one of these presets. I'm going to use the 518 megabyte preset and then make it 1024 as a preset. We're going to use an IDE bus. We're going to use 5,400 RPMs. And we're going to call this disk image Win98SE. Okay? We're going to create this little hard disk of ours. Of course, we will never forget to do that. And then we are going to, I guess that's it. I guess that's it for us, right? So just to make sure, S3 Verge Diamond Stealth 30 2000. Okay, we're gonna start the computer with CD-ROM support. And the first thing we're gonna need to do is to partition the disk and then format it. Cool? Okay, we're gonna go F disk. This is the fixed disk software. Fixed disk setup program, there it is. Create, done. Yes. Of course. So you send a Control-Alt-Delete to the system, restarts. Yes, of course. We're gonna call this Windows, obviously. I guess. And then we're going to go to Drive E, and then we're gonna write setup. Should be relatively easy. Exit. Right. Hopefully I would not need drivers for the Diamond Stealth, but you never know. I usually use the 3DFX Voodoo 3000, but I think that is the graphics card that's taking a lot of rendering space. And a lot of, a lot of the PC's resources. So I think if we downgrade to something like a Diamond Stealth, we should be fine, but we'll see. Definitely recommended for most computers. I'm an advanced user. Okay. We don't need accessibility settings. We definitely need all the accessories. Of course I do. What are you talking about? Address book. It's kind of crazy how modern versions of Windows don't let you do this. It's kind of crazy how modern versions of Windows don't let you do this. We're not going to need internet tools. We're not going to need multi-language support. We're probably going to need multimedia, though. We're going to need a lot of multimedia stuff. We don't need online services. We're gonna probably need all these. We're not gonna need them, but it's cool to have them. Get a good grasp of them. So yeah, this is what we need. We're gonna call this, of course, my nom de plume. Use that. My country is Lebanon. No need for a startup disk. It's gonna ask me to create. Nope, we're not gonna do that. Set up, start copying files. This is gonna take an insanely long time, so I will fuck off for a little bit and be back. Oof. Nope. Yeah, that sound. Yeah, that's the sound of. That's the sound of a record skipping over an ocean lake like a pebble. It's kind of crazy that this is the Windows 98 experience for most of the people who were around in the 90s. Well, excluding the very annoying sound and the record skipping shit. But like, this is a fairly accurate representation of what it would have been like to install Windows 98 when it was released. The sound gets better. That's good. We've managed to find out how to get the sound to work really well. I guess you can say I've discovered a way to make sure that the sound comes out really well. Okay, we got a game disc. Awesome. We're gonna play Jungle Book. See how it runs. Our tale begins when Bagheera first heard a strange sound. Okay, it's running at a snail's pace. Mowgli begins his journey to find the man village. Wow, you can feel the latency. I'm gonna die from these fucking monkeys. Yeah, I think that does it for me. Yeah, I think that does it for me in terms of that game. How does it run? Pretty badly, if you ask me. Would it be more comfortable if I used a DOS? If I used the DOS version? Maybe. There's definitely less latency when you're not accounting for sound. But like, wow, this is running at like slideshow levels. This is running at like slideshow levels. Like when you're not accounting for sound, you could definitely get a little bit more performance. This might not be as promising as I'm hyping it out to be. I might not be able to run Need for Speed the way I wanted to. Yeah. We'll have to see it in further tests, but let's see. Yeah, you just do this. No need. Anyways, not a very promising start. I'll say this much. But it does seem to do the trick. Let's load the second game. We loaded the second game. Let's go. This should be promising. So now that we got Need for Speed 2 installed, let's start. Pray that this works. Okay. Okay. Okay, the sound is horrifying and garbage. Wow. Yeah, the sound rendering. Okay. Oof. Yeah, the sound is garbage, but it's playing fine. Yeah, this is annoying. I'm sorry, this is annoying. Yeah, we're I guess that's it for 86 box. Thank you very much. Let's move on to PCem. Hello, everyone. I'm back. Right now, we're going to basically start with PCem. As you've seen with 86 box, we fared fairly well, I guess, all things considered. Let's start with PCem. A new machine, of course. Of course. So let's go over this very quickly. So, Diamond Stealth graphics card. So, FICVA 503 Plus, Diamond Stealth, Sound Blaster 16, standard IDE, 2-button mouse, standard 2-joystick, no network card. So this should be the same as the one in the 86 box. So there's no cheating. So no favoritism. Nice. Nice, pure sex. Both 86 box and PCem fail the Windows startup sound test. But when 86 box passed the Windows start screen, the Windows welcome screen test. And PCem passes the welcome screen test. Wow. This is what they used to ship with fucking Windows 98. It's so fucking crazy. This was the welcome experience in Windows 98. Fucking rock music. My question is, why the fuck doesn't Windows 10 or Windows 11 ship with this shit? Like, Microsoft in the 90s really used to go like all hands on deck with their Windows releases. Nowadays, they're just like putting fucking spyware and shit. Right, nowadays, they're just like putting fucking spyware and shit. But like back in the fucking 90s, they were like putting straight up bangers. They were putting like straight up bangers inside their shit. Like they were putting fucking desktop themes galore. Like look at this stuff. Like seriously, look at this stuff, dude. Seriously, look at this stuff. Like you had stuff like this, the golden fucking era. Like, look at this. I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna use the golden era one. Okay, so let's start installing some drivers. Let's see if it passes the Jungle Book test. And after that, we'll use the Okay. It's passing the Jungle Book test. Our tale begins when Bagheera first heard a strange sound. The sound came from a man cub washed up inside a little boat. Bagheera knew that the village was too far for the man cub. He took the man cub to a den of wolves who raised him. Years passed and news came that Shere Khan has returned. We're passing. Whoa, we passed the Jungle Book test with full flying colors. Nice. You can feel the latency. Oh my god. It looks like I am really terrible at this game, but no, the latency is just bad. Bro, dude, die. Die, you wart pig. Yeah, it's just... Yeah, I think I had enough of that. Yeah, I think I had enough of that. It definitely doesn't pass the Jungle Book test. I'll tell you that much. Anyways, welcome to the Need for Speed 2 test. Let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. This definitely performed better than 86 box. In terms of sound. The sound is garbage, but in terms of performance, it's doing a lot better than 86 box. Oh my god, it's another fucking power outage. Fucking hate this country. Hello everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. But before I end the video, let me go very quickly through how both of these emulators compared in the tests. In the BIOS full screen test, meaning which one of these emulators was capable of displaying the BIOS and boot screen in full screen, 86 box passes the test. PCem, for some reason, it starts to flicker when you put the BIOS and the boot screen in full screen. So that was particularly egregious for PCem. The install test, both of them did a very good job with installation. The startup sound test, both of them failed. Both of them gave very choppy sound for the startup. The welcome screen test, both of them were clunky at first. Both of them succeeded in the end. The Jungle Book test, both of them failed. Both of them showed a lot of latency, and both of them had problems with sound emulation. And as for the Need for Speed test, the final and ultimate test, both of them were playable, but PCem gets the slight edge. It had much less latency, less frame rate issues, but both of them had very garbage sound emulation. So I hope this summarizes the experience of using both emulators. Let me know what you think in the comments, and of course, we'll see you in the next one.